In this video, I'm going to show you how to adjust your float height on a 2001 to 2006 YZ125. First thing you want to do is take your float chamber plug out and use a tool that's going to show you the fuel height in your float bowl. So this brass piece is a Yamaha OEM fuel level gauge or something similar to it. These are good for benchtop testing, but you'll have to rig up some deal to be able to fill your carb up with fuel. Me, I just like putting the carb back in the bike because you can use the bike's fuel to fill your carb up, but it is impossible with your stock Yamaha part or tool. It just won't fit. I will show you something that I think is a lot more user friendly. It is the County Line MX fuel level tool adapter, and say it's got a 90-degree angle on the outlet. It'll fit in the bike. Just make sure your outlet is on the same side as a fuel inlet. And it's machined really well. I don't even need a hose clamp to make it seal, and this will be good to get your fuel level measurement and make sure it's within spec. Around your clear hose behind your incoming fuel line off of your petcock, you'll turn your fuel on and you'll watch it fill up here. So here the fuel level is too high. You kind of want it right in the middle of that little machine circle part on this particular carburetor. So this is from the manual. You want between 9.5 to 10.5 millimeters or 0.37 to 0.41 above the float chamber mating surface. So that red arrow on the left, that is the float chamber mating surface. So here's a close-up. The green line is the float mating surface, and you want to be above that between those two red lines. That's roughly between 0.37 and 0.41 inch. So long as your level's in between there, should be good to go. Use the metric system if you like the metric system. So here, determine it's too high. Shut my fuel off. Pull this hose out. Drain it. There's going to be residual fuel in the float bowl still. So disconnect your inlet and then flip your carb upside down. Dump the rest out of the overflows. So here's, let's take the hose off, and you want to take the screws out of your float bowl chamber. Take it off the carburetor, and yeah, that piece is your float chamber. And always flip the carburetor upright so I don't mess up the rubber gasket on the float chamber. This is what's called your float height. Is the different measurement. Other motorcycles, the manual tells you to use this measurement to get it within spec. On this motorcycle, I am just using this measurement to help me adjust. It's a little difficult using the caliper You just want to get a good, okay, so this tool is the Bike Master foot level gauge. It'll be easier to use than a caliper. That plastic piece is a needle jet cover. You're going to remove it while you're adjusting your float level or fuel level. So there's your float valve. It has a little rubber tip on it that seals the float seat, and this is your float adjustment, also called a tang. When you pry the tang down, you'll lower the fuel level. It'll seal it off sooner. When you pry the tang up, it will raise the fuel level in the float bowl. So here I pried it down. I'm going to take another measurement with my caliper. Just when you take your measurement, you want to look down the flat side of the float chamber mating surface. Get a good sight picture on it. It's going to take some practice to do it with a caliper, but once you get good at it, it's a good measurement. Just hold your carburetor at an angle to make that valve seat, your float valve seat, and you just kind of have to line everything up and get your eye on it just right to get a good measurement. So here I'll put the plastic piece back on. I think that plastic piece helps with fuel sloshing, because when you're riding around on the track, that fuel in the float bowl is going to kind of just shake and go everywhere, so make sure you put that plastic piece back in. And we'll tighten everything back up after we adjusted. Put our clear hose back on. And then we'll put it back in the bike and take another measurement. So you're going to have to do this several times. I think this might have been my 4th time adjusting it, and finally got to where it's supposed to be. It's right there. Stops right in between, halfway up the circle and to the top of the circle. That's where we need to be. So once you get it adjusted correctly, you'll take your County Line MX tool back off the carburetor and make sure you put your factory plug back in. And when you put your factory plug back in, that rubber gasket's going to seal it, so you don't have to crank down on that plug. Just go until you feel it seat, and that's good. That rubber gasket's going to do its job. If not, replace that gasket. And then put your bike back together and take it for a rip. You'll want to adjust your fuel level before you do any jetting. If your fuel level's not right, you'll never get your jetting right, and you'll be running around in circles. And thank you for watching.